Yeah, yeah, yeah. Welcome to the block where the real ones speak. Sports Talk 49, no cap, no weak. Real facts, strip the fluff, no spin. If it's hot in the league, yeah, we tap right in. Overreaction, yeah, we lean all in. One play, one take, let the chaos begin. From the mic to the screen, bringing truth, no fantasy. Hosted by Blake Anthony, voice of the fan, no fallacy. Fans yelling loud, opinions collide. Love it or hate it, ain't nowhere to hide. You're the master of life, how you use it is key. Sports Talk 49, now lock in with me, yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Talk49. We're going to talk about off-season contracts. But before we get into all that, I got to talk about the gentleman that's here today. What's that old phrase? I am my brother's keeper. And it's one of my own, my brother, Mr. Jeffrey Bowen.
Hey.
But Jeff, before we get into all the football talk, why don't you talk about a little bit of what you got going on today?
Oh, well, I'm down here at Clearwater, but tonight I'll be at the Hard Rock Cafe in Tampa from 9 to 11. So we're going to get turned up down there. We're inviting everybody out.
So what does that all entail? Like, what does it happen for somebody who doesn't know?
Okay, so the name of the band is called the Electric Xperience, and we're a cover band from Orlando, and we're doing everything from Earth, Wind, and Fire to Lenny Kravitz, Prince, to Selena. Oh, we have a female singer that's going to be with us tonight. We'll be doing some of the female hits. So yes, it's a party atmosphere.
So what's the female singer's
name? Jacqueline Herrera. So Jack.
Yeah. And you'll be down there at the Hard Rock down there, Tampa, Seminole Hard Rock. What place they go? What room can you find you in?
That is the main restaurant, so it's right at the casino. So if you're going in the casino, you go to the right. Restaurant's there, it's the big stage.
Oh, well, I'm going to be looking forward to that. I'll be in attendance. As you can see, we're already pre-gaming with our drink in our hand. You can see. Drink, all I need is the drink, and I need the two-step. That's all that's next. So we got all that out of the way. Also, make sure to check out the sponsor, The Scented Bar. Make sure to check that out. Woman-owned business out of my home in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Check it out. It's the website. I have it on there. It's called The Scented Bar. You love candles. You love fragrances and things like that. Very affordable prices. And all types of smells you like. If you're into that candle type stuff, go get it. So let's talk about it. You see the title, everybody. It says off-season contracts. Now, that could be anything and all that. So the first thing I want to talk about, so we talk about, I have Peter, I have Troy here, Rick, I have all these players on, with their opinions. Let's talk to a fan. I've never had my brother on to talk about it, but we talk about sports all the time. So Jeff, I wanted your opinion. You don't need to know a whole, every ins and out of it, but I know you know the QB market is high now. It went from getting a $12 million contract was high. Now we're talking about $50 million and things like that. Mm-hmm. So we know Baker Mayfield was the first overall pick to the Browns years ago. Became a journeyman, came to Tampa, went to the playoffs, done really well, had up and down years, and a lot of it's because based on his injury. Now, the question that everybody's asking, do you re-sign him? How long and what kind of money do you think he should get? What do you think, in your opinion, as a fan?
Well, as a fan, I definitely think you should re-sign him. It's a hard act to following Tom Brady into Tampa, one. And sad to say, but the NFL, you got to make your money. And as a player, you have to make your money. Now, granted, there's only so much money to go around because you have the rest of the team to think of. But if you don't pay the man, you don't have a quarterback. And you need a quarterback to compete. So coming from a fan standpoint, that's very important. So, you got to negotiate it and make it fair on both sides. I get that. But I know, there's only so many years a player can play. He needs to make his money, during that time period. However, how much money that's reasonable.
Yeah, he's sitting, I think, about $30 million now. The market right now is about $50 million. That's like Patrick Mahomes. That's the upper range. So when you talk about sports and athletes and positions, we like to use a term that's called tier. And when you say tier, your top tier guys will be Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford's, guys like that, those upper tiers. So do you think he deserves that 50 million plus range, or do you think he's at 30? Do you think they did go 40, 45, 35? What do you think? And how long do you think? He's 31 years of age now. How long and how much money do you think he should get per year?
I think if you go to 40 with incentives.
So when you say bonus, being healthy, accolades, things like that, yardage and stuff like that.
Yeah, because last year wasn't a good year for Baker.
Banged up badly. Should have played, honestly. Should have played a lot of those games.
Yeah. But you got to protect your investment. So, but I mean, I think he could be worth that money. You know what I mean? If you spend $50 million, you got to think how that affects the other positions we get. But that's the most important position on the field. So you got to pay the money. But you got to protect the man, number one, and number two, you got to make it as far as years. And I think Baker can be in the same conversation with the upper tier guys, because he's had his moments where he's really,
really good. Like last year, the first 6 games, elite. He was elite.
Yeah. He deserves it, and this is his journey that he's been through. So he's not a guy that like Carson Wentz type of a guy.
That roller coaster.
Yeah.
Was real high and then fell and never came back.
Yeah. So I think negotiations, everything. You want to stay under 50. But he definitely wants to be above 30. So right there in the middle, 40 with incentives, I think is the way to go.
Yeah, because the Buccaneers definitely got to deal with him for $30 million out of that play.
Mm-hmm.
He had to kind of earn that. He did earn it.
Yeah.
And the years and the money is what's really going to come down to, and how that money, or it's going to be interesting how you move the money. I'll get into the second part about that. We'll just finish talking about paper first. So yeah, 40, then maybe with like somewhere around 50 with guarantees, like NFC championship game or something like that with incentives. And then the years, I personally said no more than 3 years. Yeah. I'll put him at 34, 35 years old, depending on when his birthday is. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, especially if he keeps getting injured, the biggest part of his game is his mobility. Now, I don't know what he's going to be like if he decides to take that away. If you take away his mobility. So, I mean, do you agree with that? Do you learn that time range? Do you think it should be 2? Should it be 3? Should it be longer?
I think 3, because you're right with his injuries and, what he's prone to doing as a player. Prone to the injuries, and you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you got stuff on his cap, stuff, and you got an injured player. Yeah,
and you're not stuck on a long-term contract paying $50+ million a year, like the Browns were stuck with Deshaun Watson for years and didn't play. Now he's looking like his former self. I mean, everybody's like, well, they're going to ship off Shador. Like, they're kind of stuck with dealing with him. You've already invested draft picks and money. You've got to play the guy at this point. Or you look like a fool. You kind of already look like a fool. You look like a worse fool if that's such a thing. Being said that, you made a good point when you said about the money and how the money works out. So with that being said, Vita Vea is under contract as well, in his 30s, saying that plays a very demanding position at nose tackle. I said on other shows, like, he doesn't get a break when you're on field. There's plays where you can loaf, stuff like that. Defensive tackle, you can never loaf. Can't. You're taking contact every play. And honestly, in that 3-4 hybrid defense, the nose tackle is the most important position on that defensive line. And I think Vea, and that's my opinion, and I think a lot of people will agree with me, has been the only consistent guy on that defensive line. Sure. He's not a pass rusher, so the fact that he's gotten to the quarterback at that position with no help anywhere else, I figure he deserves, maybe another 2 years. Like, again, nothing long, and it would be a pay bump. I think he's, I can't remember. I can't think of the top of it, but he's like under the Jordan. He's under Jordan out of the Eagles of the defensive tackle. I can't think of his last name right now, but I think he's better than him. But I know the age and everything like that. And the only time he's ever been banged up, really, is the year Devin White flew into his leg and broke his leg in Chicago. And that was no fault of his own. It was friendly fire. And otherwise, not. Of course, you miss a game because of foot and things like that. That happens. You play defensive line. I play defense. And when you get your foot stepped on by a cleat, it hurts. And you think about it every time we step in, and people keep stepping on it, and it never heals, and you can't drive off of it. So that's why you see them come out with like foot injuries and things like this. That's the stuff that happens. But I think he's been reliable since he's been here, and I honestly believe he deserves a pay. But I wouldn't say it's like a huge increase, like we're talking about Baker, maybe a plus $20 million increase. You're talking maybe $5 to $7 million more dollars, to add to his contract. So I don't think that's unattainable. But I think they should do it. What do you think about the Baker?
I think Bay is very important too. He's the most important person on the defense, and he's proven himself, and he's earned that money.
Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, earned that money.
Yep.
And like you say, he's there every play. So taking that contact, if anyone on that field deserves that money, it's him.
I agree. And then it comes into Yaya. I think he's nearing that. I think was he next year or something like that. But we'll see how that goes over time. You want to extend him over time, but I just want to talk about contracts, with you a little bit, because I know you look at the team from a different eye than I do. You look at it more of a fan. I look at it as a fan, as an analytic kind of person, and get different type of opinions. But what do you think overall? How do you think with the acquisitions and everything that they've done this offseason, they've finally added depth everywhere on that defense? I can wholeheartedly say the Bucs defensive line is loaded. From started, it doesn't go from an A player or a B plus player to a D player that's coming in, or an F. I said it's gone from a B plus A to a B minus, or a very high C plus, almost a B plus player. What do you think about that in addition to all of those?
I think the draft the offseason was what the Bucs needed, really, and they made some really good moves. I used to get mad. Why are you drafting all these offensive players? Years past, you know what I mean? But it's all this. The defense needed those additions, because watching them last year, it was evident. It's evident they needed it. So I'm happy that they got what they did.
And now the focus just shifts kind of with the young secondary, because you got the two corners the year before, and then you loaded up with free agency and draft in this draft coming up. So now the pressure kind of goes to the secondary. But I think it'll take the heat off them if they don't have to cover for so long like last year. It was horrible. I said they just couldn't get to the quarterback at all. And you're not going to win many games if you can't protect, which they couldn't do last year with all the injuries on the offensive line. And you couldn't get to the quarterback last year. So you had the two worst spots you could have at. And then the injury to Bucky Irvin, all the wide receivers being, it was just a laundry list of injuries that happened in the 2025 season. But you said, with the offensive players, I have to agree. I always go out and never be mad at defense, but you do gotta score points in this league. True. And there's no guarantee that you're going to hit on pass rushers. Just ask the Bucs pass drafting edge guys that just didn't work out, like Joe Tryon, Shahinka, and guys like that. But you got to score points in this league. I know a lot of people were shocked last year about that Nick Hooper pick, but in the end, they looked like geniuses because you had all those injuries that happened. Imagine how that would have looked if you didn't have it last year. Going to play and having that game up in Seattle like that where Mako went off. The two walk-off touchdowns, the one he had against Atlanta. There was another game where he had an amazing score at the end of the game, the critical part of the game. They kind of have a down here. I believe it was that hamstring he was playing on. But, what do you think? Did you like that Mako pick? Did you like that? He did that first? Or
did that first. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
How many receivers do you need? But they needed every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That shit, because they got banged up. And he's a great player.
Ohio State wideout, and everybody knows about the Ohio State wideouts. They all perform. And then they drafted, I think, this year another Notre Dame guard. Is I think at the end of this year, I want to keep saying Cap. What's his name? Cody Mauer. He's going to come up to the end of his rookie contract here, so I don't know if they're going to try to plug him later. I honestly believe they need to get another center with Graham Barton that could guard what he played in college. But he's rocking at center right now. He's rocking at center. And used to you get one. And a point I forgot to make about Vita Vea, too. And at that point, that position being so important, if you decide to move on, who's the replacement?
Right.
That's the question. Who's the replacement? And Ty Bowles likes to stop the run. He likes to stop the run. And you're going to need those kind of guys up front, especially you get them with all the changes now at the linebacker position. With somebody I'm very keen on is Levante David retiring. Now you've got to find your new leaders, your new stars and stuff like that. Does Dennis step up? Anzalone is showing up in camp being a leader. So does he stay healthy? I mean, how does that look? It's a lot of changes in the second tier of the defense with the linebackers being out. One of your perennial Super Bowl winning players have just retired. I mean, how did you feel about the Levante day? Do you think it was time, or did you want one more year?
I wanted one more year. I thought he had some more in the tank. But, in the end, it's his decision. But I loved him as a player, and we were fortunate enough to meet him during the lovely years.
He was young. He was young Levante at the time.
Yeah. So, there's a huge hole, a void where he was. So we'll have to see who's going to step up.
Yeah, every team goes to it. You watched Mike Evans leave. How did you feel about that?
Man, I wish he could have retired as fuck.
The thing about the money that the money you didn't have to pay him, you were able to get all those guys on the defensive line and all that. And you said earlier, with the money, how the money goes, how is it dispersed? It was dispersed amongst those free agent acquisitions.
Yeah.
Getting no Ashawn Robinson, going to get the pass rusher out of Muhammad out of Detroit. A lot of those guys. Nacho comes back, so you were able to disperse Mike's money among the rest of your roster, which desperately they needed on the defense.
Sure.
But it's a bittersweet thing. You want to see Mike retire here, but we're not the only team that's happened to. His favorite player, one of his favorite players besides Randy Moss, and he didn't finish where he started. Either did Jerry Rice. None of them finished where they started. And he's earned the right to make that decision. Community man, he's done everything he could ask. Never been bad in the media. Can't be mad at it. And I say this all the time to fans. I mean, at some point, it's a little bit your fault too. Like they said, he comes to games and the football experience in Tampa is not going to be the same as going to San Francisco. The culture there is going to be much different, especially with fan attendance, where your whole stadium is not filled with green jerseys or blue jerseys or things like that. It actually feels like you're at a home game. So his experience in San Francisco is going to be much different. And the other part that he said was about how they take care of players' injuries, like the rehab center, doing stuff to keep them from being injured. We'll see if he plays all 17 games because we know he's had a hamstring injury since he's came into the league. That's just what he's dealt with his entire career. So we'll see how that looks. It's going to be odd to see him in a 5 jersey. I think that's what he's wearing, number 5 in a San Francisco jersey. But not mad at him. I'm still root for him, except for when they play the Bucks. But I'll still root for him. And I'm not mad at him at all. I mean, do you feel the same, or do you?
I feel the same.
Yeah.
He had to do what he had to do.
Yeah.
We wish him well, and I'll see how the season shakes out, man. We wish him well, but when he comes to Tampa, we have to deal with him.
You think he finishes the whole full term of his career, his contract? You think he finishes it all?
I don't know, man. Depends on how.
You're on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah, wrong side of 30. Anything can happen.
Yeah. Anything can happen.
Reminds me, who was the Seattle Seahawks player that got injured his contract year?
You talking about the Legion of Boom era?
Yeah.
What position?
Yeah, it was linebacker.
You talking about Wagner?
No, it wasn't Wagner. It was when he got real serious injury, and he flipped the crowd on the stretch.
Oh, Earl Thomas.
Yeah,
Earl Thomas.
That's something. Blink of an eye, you're not playing it.
Hey, he's not in the league.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him doing much either, not coaching or anything. At least kind of low key for now. I'm sure he'll get back into something with football at some point. People like to get back and do something with football. What is your prediction for the season? How do you feel? How do you feel the season's going to go?
Well, as a Bucks fan, I want to say Bucks all the way to the Super Bowl. But, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of good teams. A lot of teams have made some moves. So we have to say, you can never predict the year, man. Like, You know, just like last year, Bucks started strong and they just went off the cliff. And then you had some teams that started horrible and they came back strong in the second part. So it's any given day, any given Sunday.
Yeah, and that's the part that you got to put. You got to put the team, their offense, defense, and then the injuries. I say that in preseason, and people are like, "Well, how they do preseason?" I'm like, I didn't see anybody get injured. I could care less who won. It's just a scrimmage game. I could care less who won. Did anybody get hurt? No. Sound like a win to me. Sound like a win to me. Because at this point of the year, nothing good comes out. It's all bad. Any news that comes out this time of year, there's no meaningful football being played right now. That's pretty much everything we got, Jeff. You got any final thoughts? You want to tell everybody about your show again? That's tonight at the Hard Rock between 9 and 11 p.m. The Electric Xperience. Tell them, Jeff.
Yeah, we're going to be over at the Hard Rock in Tampa. We're going to be there, so make sure you come ready to party. So, and the personnel we're using tonight is myself on vocals and guitar. Got Leo B on keys. Got Sam Pagan on drums. Got Steve Patchen on bass. And yeah, our girl Jackie Herrera on vocals. So it's going to be a great show. Hope to see you out there. And Blake, your show is fantastic. I watch it all the time. And you got a lot of information. And you have a lot of football knowledge. That's what I appreciate about you. So whenever I have a question, I can just call my brother and say, hey, man, what's going on with this? He's got the answers. Kudos to you.
I try. Google makes me look smart. I said, anybody, people can get that shirt. We got to talk about that tailor-made shirt there. People get that purple Electric Xperience, man.
Oh, man.
I got tailor-made, that's custom-made there.
It's custom my stylist, man. The stylist.
See, everybody can't afford stylist.
Yeah. My stylist is Jeffrey Bowen. She makes sure that I stay,
fresh for them.
Yeah, got to show up.
I guess he doesn't have to pay for hairstylists. They just can pay for clothes. One less budget. We can move the budget from one to the other.
All the money I'm shaving from the haircuts goes to the clothes. But no, she takes good care of me, making sure I don't show up like I just came from work to the stage. So,
Hello, everybody. It's Jeffrey Bowen and the Electric Xperience. I'm Blake Yannick. This is Sports Talk49. We'll end this as we always do. With Master of what you like, what you do for this. See you guys next time. Peace.
Yeah. Welcome to the block, where the real ones speak. Sports Talk 49, no cap, no weak. Real facts, strip the fluff, no spin. If it's hot in the league, yeah, we tap right in. Overreaction, yeah, we lean all in. One play, one take, let the chaos begin. From the mic to the screen, bringing truth, no fantasy. Hosted by Blake Anthony, voice of the fan, no fallacy. Fans yelling loud, opinions collide. Love it or hate it, ain't nowhere to hide. You're the master of life, how you use it is key. Sports Talk 49, now lock in with me, yeah.